In today's episode of Project Sacrifice, we compress many items into singularities, and also we go ahead and make this beautiful infinity catalyst. With that being said, let's get into today's episode. In the last episode, we dove into Draconic evolution and we made the chaos shards. Now we are going to need those because we do need to upgrade these injectors one more time into the chaotic injectors, I believe, because we need the Draconic reactor core, which happens to also need chaotic tier injectors. And my plan today is hopefully to go ahead and get into the end game, which is going to require us to make these infinity catalysts, which is going to require us to make a bunch of stuff, including these matter clusters, which requires these singularities, and we need 40,000 of them each. Alrighty, to get the stuff going here, what we're going to go ahead and do is make a ton of these. You know what? We also need hoppers. Let me grab those real quick. I totally forgot to grab some hoppers here, but we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to make a ton of these neutrium compressors because we're going to need quite a few of them, I believe, to go ahead and get things started with the infinity catalyst, because we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 15 or at least 16 of these, right? Unfortunately, because, well, we need these singularities. So let's go ahead and get some more iron here, and then we're going to set these up to go ahead and export into these guys all the materials that we're going to need for this. Alrighty, now that we've got all the neutronium compressors, what we're going to go ahead and do is place them all down, and hopefully we have enough. I believe I counted about 15 of these that we're going to need here. So we have 18, so we should have enough here to go ahead and get things going. So let's go ahead and get a bunch of EMC links like so. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is make sure that these are all separated. We don't want them together because then they're gonna like cross each other and it's not gonna be ideal. So we're gonna make sure that these are all separated with the wrench. Now one of these will need refined storage, so I'm thinking that maybe this one on the end here can get refined storage, as in our refined storage system we have 12 million of the singularities that we need for this guy, for the matter clusters, which is going to be amazing. So we'll put an exporter on this one like so, but all we gotta do is get ourselves a wrench, because I kind of got rid of my wrench on accident, and make sure that these are all configured to be single-handedly solo. And once we do that, we should be good to go. Also, what we could do is, instead of using an exporter, maybe using a interface with a infinite pipe upgrade, because that's what I'm going to do with these guys as well. We're going to go ahead and put down all of the EMC links and get that all set up and ready to go. Now I'm hoping that all of these do have EMC. I didn't check to see if all of these had EMC, but I'm pretty sure all of them do have EMC. So I've been busy setting these up, right? And I just noticed something here. So we go diamond, emerald, and then iridium, but iridium is a problem because iridium doesn't have EMC. So we're gonna have quite a bit of a challenge on our hands, but I'm hoping I can just like use my refined storage system to craft a bunch of it, but I don't know how that's gonna work. And also we actually do have quite a bit of iridium as well. We have about 2.1-ish million iridium, which is not terrible, I guess. We could use like a sequential fabricator or something to get that all set up and exporting or whatever. Alrighty, with this good to go, all we gotta do is make sure that this is going and you're getting extracted on all of these, and then we're gonna put all of the infinity pipe upgrades in them, and hopefully we're good to go. And also have to make sure that these are all set down at the bottom to go ahead and import. We're gonna use importers, of course. Now I'm trying to think, do I want to upgrade our importers to creative? I think I should, because that way it's just like I know I don't have to put anything in there. All I have to do is just plug it and it works. So that's kind of scary. We need a dragon head, which we might be able to go yoink from the end, so it's not too bad. So I might just go explore the end, and while I'm out there, actually I was gonna make the Allthemodium sword, but I need this End Globber. So let's just quickly make this real quick, because I do still need to fight all the dragons still, because we're gonna need quite a few more dragon hearts for the unobtainium hearts and stuff that we need. So we are just missing chorus fruit, and again, that's also gonna need me to go ahead and go out to the end islands and grab that, because I don't think I've gone out there yet to grab stuff. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't have any chorus flower in my thing, so I want to go quickly out there and grab that. So unfortunately, I believe this recipe is broken, unfortunately, because it doesn't seem to work here and or over here in the crafter that I just put down. So what I think I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to say that I crafted it, but I'm just gonna end up cheating in the sword. I don't know why that recipe is broken, but you know, it is what it is, right? With everything collected, we can go ahead and now start to go ahead and make the creative importers like so. We're gonna need some dragon heads, and we're gonna need a few other things. So dragon head is relatively simple like so, and I don't know what the other item is. I thought I gathered it. So the creative importer is gonna be here. Netherite blocks, right? So let's go ahead and grab a stack of those like so, and do something like this, and boom, there is your creative importer. Grab a bunch of those, and let's go ahead and hook these guys up, and hopefully these guys are going to be fast enough to go ahead and do what we need to do here on these compressors. Alrighty, everything is hooked up and ready to go. I'm a bit concerned about the speed, as oh my god, that's really slow. So 1 2 3 4 5. We're gonna go ahead and stack up a few watches here, and I'm really hoping that this, you know, works in, you know, the way I want it to, because if it doesn't, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Also, I'm really hoping that this reaches all the way across. 1 2 3 4 5. It just barely reaches. Hopefully this will do us good, and do something like this, and hopefully that speeds things up. That doesn't look like that's going any faster than what it was. Thankfully, we don't need too many of these, but I'm gonna go ahead and let that do its thing for now. So we are gonna need to do a few other things while we wait for that to kind of get everything that we need. So we're gonna need to start working on other parts of this recipe, things like the ultimate stew, the dragon star, the temporal pouches, the quantum entangled singularities, the Draconic reactor, the Endest pearls, the record fragments, creative essence, the End Globber foo, the final star. Dude, the list goes on and on and on and on. Starting with the final star, thankfully this should be really simple to do, as long as I think I crashed my game. So yeah, we're gonna have to switch to the arcane tablet, because if I open the no more transmutation tablet, it's going to explode. So I assume, because we're pulling so much EMC out and we're generating so much EMC, that tablet can't handle what we're doing right now. So I assume we're gonna have to stick with this kind of trashy, kind of good tablet. This is actually a really good one too, because say I want to craft the final star, we can now go through and bookmark all of these, and I can just quickly teach it and craft these really quickly, which is really nice. And I've already got that, so let's just start crafting these bad boys up, right? It's just a literal crafting game at this point, right? This is the one thing that's really annoying about Project EX and its kind of extended exchange mod upgrade, is doing these guys kind of stinks. And just like that, we now should be able to go ahead and craft the final star. Boom, just like that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's now done. Let's actually grab that out. So wait, we're gonna need how many final stars for this? Is it just one? Please tell me it's just one. It's just one, and I believe we need 4 of these to make the infinity ingots, if I'm not mistaken. 1 2 3 4. So yeah, we're gonna need 4 total, which is not bad. So the End Globber foo is probably gonna be the easiest thing here to make. Boom, that's now done. The creative essence is gonna need another one of these. Now, how many of these creative essences do I need for this? Again, just 4. So I'm gonna need at least 40 of the insanium, which that's a lot of insanium. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually quite a bit. Alrighty, thankfully we actually made extra of these nutrient compressors, because I should be able to take my insanium now, like so, and dump it into here, and that should make me creative essence. It's probably inside the system already. Yeah, 4 creative essence. Beautiful. So that's now done. The record fragments is going to require us to make a record disk of any kind, and then a blank record, which hopefully we can make. We just need a little bit more creeper essence, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I just reclose this back up really quickly, we should be able to get some creepers, and then that should be everything that we need for that. Okay, so we should now be able to go ahead and make a blank record like so, and then that's gonna go ahead and make this. We just need a purple dye. Now, do I happen to have a purple dye, or am I gonna be shafted here and we're gonna have to make one and make the purple dye like so? And then we should be good to go. Teach that like that. And then we just need that to make the record fragment, or the record disk. Turn that into record fragments like so. Now, for the next few things that we're going to have to craft, we are going to need this dire crafting table. Starting with the Endest pearl, let's go ahead and make some endstone like so. Let's also grab some ender pearls and some neutronium. And once we do that, we should, in theory, be able to quickly make the Endest pearl like so, as long as we grab a set of nether stars, and we should be able to make the Endest pearls that we need. Not sure how many of these we're going to need, but I'm going to craft quite a few of them if I can. There we go. There's one. I believe it's 4, so it's actually 8. Also, do these not stack? Because if they don't stack, that's going to be really annoying to do this. Okay, so we can indeed stack them. That's great news for me, at least. So for the next thing that I want to work on, we're going to need some obsidian, and we're going to need some ender dust. Now, do I have ender dust available to me? I don't know. I think I have to make it this way. Hold on. No, we need a specific ender dust. The one from Applied Energistics 2. And it looks like we can get it through the crushing wheels. Okay, that's fair enough. So if I just quickly grab myself some crushing wheels relatively quickly, that shouldn't be too bad. So 1 and 2, and drop all these guys like so. And the reason why we want this ender dust is because we want to go ahead and make these guys, the quantum entangled singularities. And it says drop 1 singularity and 1 ender dust and cause an explosion within range of the items. And it will go ahead and make these guys. And I believe for this, we're going to need at least 4 of these, which is not too bad. Now, we are going to need to go ahead and make this dragon star, which is actually not even that expensive now that I think about it. I can just quickly craft that and be done with that. Now, we are going to need some temporal pouches, which is going to require some bone marrow, which I think we might have enough of. Now, we do got to be careful because I believe there's a bug with this mod and I don't want to risk it. You know what? I just thought about something. I believe my base is indeed claimed, so it should be fine in theory. But yeah, there we go. TNT. Make sure that we grab some of that. Unfortunately, tiny TNT won't work in this case. I've tried it multiple times and it just never works. So let me do this and this. Let's put down a stack of TNT like so, and maybe get ourselves a flint and steel, which we do not have, weirdly enough. So flint and steel should be relatively easy to craft. Bam, bam, boom. Let's go ahead and light this bad boy like so, and just hope that this works. And it does, and they only stack to 2, and most of them fell in the void. But that's now done, and we just now need 4 temporal pouches like so. We are out of leather in the system, which hopefully isn't going to be too bad. So leather, please, and we'll go ahead and grab that. And it does look like we've got quite a bit of EMC now, which makes me happy because I want to go ahead and make myself myself one of the final collectors, which this thing generates 4 trillion EMC a second. And I think that's going to be more than worth it right now, right? So let's go ahead and make that. And we're going to need to go ahead and make the other thing, this guy here, which is going to need this guy. And then once we do that, we're going to go ahead and combine those together like so. And dear God, that is so expensive. And boom, there we go. It took all of our EMC, but we can now take all of these, break these down because we don't need them anymore. And we can also just put down this guy, and that's now gonna make a literal boatload more EMC. I just filmed a whole clip and it wasn't filming. Oh, so basically we just filled these guys up with 4 stacks of diamonds, 4 stacks of large chaos fragments, and some dragon eggs. And it happened to be that we had exactly enough to go ahead and craft up the 9 injectors that we needed. I can't believe I just biffed that up. With the 9 Draconic crafting injectors crafted, let's go ahead and craft up the reactor cores. All we're gonna need is some of these large chaos fragments again, and let's go ahead and grab 2 stacks of those like so, and place them in here like so. I believe we're gonna need at least 4 stacks of awakened draconium as far as I've seen. So let's go ahead and grab 4 stacks of those, which we don't have the ingots taught. Let's go ahead and teach those ingots really quickly like so, and let's go ahead and grab 4 stacks of those bad boys like so, and toss them in there as I am having a skill issue. There we go. Let's go ahead and do that, and that. Get those large chaos shards back inside of there like so. And then all we need is 3 stacks of the draconium ingots. Luckily, that is super easy and cheap to make. And boom, boom, and boom, just like that. And we're gonna need a stack of chaos shards inside of the reactor like so, and we should be able to go ahead and grab those like so, toss those in there like so, and we can go ahead and craft these bad boys up just as easy as that. Okay, with the draconic reactor cores done, we are just down to 1 item, and that is the ultimate stew. And luckily for us, it is relatively easy to make. So we need wheat, which we don't have, which I believe, I thought I had some farmland over here. I do. Good. Let's go ahead and get some carrots. We're gonna need those guys. So wheat seeds, and then I believe I can just twerk for this and be done with it. There we go. Let's go ahead and teach the wheat to the system like so. So wheat, and then we're gonna need carrot. I believe it was the next one in the line. Let's go ahead and grab actually 2 stacks of everything. So 2 stacks of the wheat, 2 stacks of the carrot like so, and then we're going to need 2 stacks of potatoes. So I don't think we have potatoes. We do not. And potatoes come from nature essence, which we can relatively make because we have 3K of that. So let's go ahead and do that. And potatoes actually don't have EMC. And we're gonna need the beetroot, which I believe we do have. So beetroot is going to be easy. We do not have beetroot. So beetroot is going to be simple enough, thankfully. There we go. Teach that to the system. Grab 2 stacks of beetroot like so. And then we're going to need apples, which we might have. We might not have apples. We do. Grab 2 stacks of those bad boys like so. And then we're going to need 2 stacks of melons. I know for a fact we have melons taught to the system because we are using that for the nutrient bar automation. We're gonna need pumpkins. We might not have pumpkins, but I think pumpkins are relatively easy. If I'm not mistaken, if I grab a melon and a philosopher's stone, I believe I can convert that into a pumpkin. Yeah, beautiful. Neat little trick right there. There we go. And let's go ahead and teach that to the system. That's gonna be good. And then grab 2 stacks of those relatively simply. We don't need these anymore. And I'm a bit concerned about the cactus and the mushroom. Cactus we do not have, but cactus can be made with nature essence, so that's not a big-ish deal. However, mushrooms might be a bigger deal. So mushrooms are just dirt and the nature essence. Okay, so those aren't as bad as I originally thought. There we go. Mushrooms. We actually might need more. So mushrooms, the brown type is the same sort of recipe except in a different configuration. There we go. Let's go ahead and teach this to our system like so, and then grab the mushrooms like so. Red mushrooms and brown mushrooms, and then we just need piles of neutrons, and then that should be everything that we need for this ultimate stew. And it's only one stack of that as well. So all I have to do is come in here and do this, and I should in theory have the ultimate stew. Now it's gonna lag up because we just crafted like 4 stacks of that stuff. Didn't really need to craft that many, but there we go. And now we can actually go ahead and grab the things that we need for the infinity catalyst. I was prepping the stuff to make the catalyst, and my god, these do not stack. The matter clusters do not stack. That is going to be annoying AF. Oh my god, that's gonna be so annoying. We have a problem. Oh my god, I missed an entire item. Oh boy, we got a problem, gamers. Oh boy, we missed the cosmic meatballs. How did I miss this? Oh god. Okay, so raw cod, which we do not have. Of course, we do not have that. So the meatball is gonna need pork chop, and this is where I find out that yeah, doing all the quests in the beginning is going to be important. The pork chop we do not have, which is not ideal, which we do have in the system. Thankfully, we can go ahead and teach that real quick, then that shouldn't be a problem. So pork chop it is. So let's get that guy in there. So pork chop. Now cod we're gonna have to fish for, unfortunately. We're gonna need rabbit, which dear god, how do I even get rabbit meat? I assume I have to do something with that. Salmon we're gonna have to catch. Chicken we have, at least I thought we had chicken. Oh god, this is a disaster right now. Oh boy, did I make a huge mistake. So chicken, and then we need for the meatball, we're gonna need beef and mutton. Okay, beef and mutton, and then piles of neutrons. Beef we should have, I believe. So beef we do have, and then mutton I don't think we have because I haven't killed any sheep. We do not have mutton either. So thankfully I was paying attention because you can't make rabbit seeds. So to make raw rabbit, we're going to use this recipe here, which is going to allow us to turn raw beef supposedly into rabbit. And it's not really working, which is not ideal in the slightest because I have no idea how else I'm supposed to be getting a rabbit. Now I do see this recipe here. I'm going to try it, and I'm hoping that this one actually works this time, because if it doesn't, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be honest, because if it doesn't work, we're kind of boned, I feel. So the recipe in here says any sort of food plus a philosopher's stone. So let's get a philosopher's stone and let's try this again. This on the bottom, 3 beef like so. It did work. Thank God that that worked, because if it didn't work, we were in trouble. And just like that, we now have the cosmic meatballs. And just like that, we should now have the infinity catalyst. As soon as I do this really quickly, it's gonna lag a lot because it's gonna like figure out the whole like recipe. I'm a bit concerned because this table is a bit laggy. I'm gonna give it a second and see what happens. Just as I thought, there's too many items because it can't put it all back in our inventory. So we are gonna have to manually do this a little bit. So let me go ahead and put all these items together. And just like that, we have our very first infinity catalyst. Let's go. And all we gotta do from this point on is hopefully grab a bunch of the singularities like so, and hopefully grab a few of those matter clusters like so, and we should be pretty much good to go. So temporal pouch goes there, and that's another one, and that's another one. As soon as I get the final temporal pouch in there, and boom, there is our 4 infinity catalysts. But unfortunately, guys, it is time to wrap up today's episode of Project Sacrifice. With that being said, if you guys did enjoy today's episode of Project Sacrifice, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, ding dong that notification bell, become a part of the Council of Elder. As always, guys, I love you. I'm gonna leave you until next time, where we're gonna be finishing the pack. It's probably gonna be a long episode, but we're gonna finish the pack. Bye bye.